And we're gone. Thank you. We want to thank the students for the moral dilemma that we just had to deal with. And Baruch Hashem, I would say one thing, keep your clothes on. When you have a suffix, put more clothes on, not less clothes on. Because you're giving the wrong vibe there. All right, here we go. We're in chapter 5. Now, we are supposed to start investigating. What happened?
Asked them to get me water.
And? So, we have to start studying ourselves. And then he has a statement that I want to kind of bring up and then talk about a little bit. وقد قال بعض الحكماء أن الفلسفة معرفة الإنسان نفسه. One of the sages said that philosophy simply is knowing that the person knows himself. This is a sort of a reference to a quote of Socrates that a life needs to be examined. We have to examine our lives. We have to examine what are we doing with ourselves. And Baruch Hashem, you all made a decision to come to yeshiva, to do that, to, on the basic level, challenge yourselves. And the challenge is by trying to understand a text that was put together over generations, about more than 1,500 years ago, in two different languages that are mixed together with its own ways of thinking. And you're willing to commit significant amount of hours every day to try to make this text understandable. And as you continue to grow in your success, Be'ezrat Hashem, you discover certain things about yourself. I remember that when I started learning Gemara, one of the things I would always do was start arguing with something that the Chachamim said. That can't be, come on. And I had to start thinking, why? Let's say they say, Chachamim says, the Gemara says, let's just give an example, okay? That it's a gnai for a woman to get married for anything worth less than a pruta. They just said it, which is sort of like, this is a basic assumptions about human nature. And then I started like arguing against it. What does that mean? It can't be. You can't tell a woman, this is what you mean, something that's worth a pruta. Now it's no longer a gnai, it doesn't put her down. Then you realize, wait a second, why don't you just try to understand what the text says? What are you battling against? What are you fighting about? And laat, you start seeing that the internal rationale and explanations of the Gemara are based on certain svaras and also based upon psukim, verses in the Torah. And you get to a point where you realize that they are coming and saying what they're saying because they're basing their understanding of human nature on the Torah. They are the Tanaim and Amoraim and learn the Tanakh, and that determines reality. That is what the Tanakh says is interpreted and explains to us all the possibilities. And the sugya that we're doing now, for those of you who are watching, we're doing the sugya of in Masechet Kiddushin of where do we learn that a woman can be mitkadeshet, get betrothed with kesef, with money or something that's worth kesef, or has some monetary value. But you might ask yourself, why are we asking this question? Why not? We could just say because we want to. Why do certain countries make the laws that they make the law? Because they want to. A bunch of people get together, they vote, they make a law, and it's done. But that's not how Judaism works. Comes the Gemara and says, wait, where do we get the right to betroth a woman using kesef? Which means that if you don't have a source in the revealed text, you don't have a right to do that. You can make a takana, right? The rabbis tell us that we can make ordinances, make certain rules, but they have to be based on the Torah. That determines reality. And so it is through the study of Torah that we discover who we are and what rights we have, what obligations we have. We tend to a lot of times talk about we have rights. Having a right means you have an obligation. There are no rights without obligations. Right? You have the right to learn Torah, so you have a certain obligation to it. You have to treat it with respect. You have to start with humility. Right? You have to have those aspects. You have the right to make friends. Well, then you can't flip and flop naked in front of people when that's not the appropriate situation. Right, Saxteen? What?
Had a heart on it.
That's not. Listen. I don't know what you're talking about. No.
Oh, you gotta say that for the video.
I don't know, but whatever it is, the moose is out of control. So, know yourself. And the way that we learn about ourselves is also through learning the Torah, because the Torah and the Novis, the prophets, are telling us from their prophetic powers what they received from God about what a human being is. And that's what guides us. So the rabbis tell us about what human nature is. And although you could learn about yourself outside of Torah by spending time with yourself, clothed, thinking about your life, your decisions, your actions, your words, having appropriate aspirations. It's very important to aspire to things in your life. You should have goals, not just live your life as if just another day. But you should have ideas of what you want your life to be. Certainly hope it's not only within the financial or gashmias, but even in that is an aspect of our existence. That is, if somebody wants to be successful in business, and that's what seems to motivate him, okay, I said it. It's obviously not what I chose. I teach in the yeshiva. But I think every single one of us needs to get to know. You have to know yourself. Especially for those of you who are on the cusp of going to shidduchim. Because a lot of guys know what they want. But the question is, what are you bringing? What are you bringing? Yeah, flippity flop flop. Okay, good. But what are you bringing? What about you? What makes you the best companion? Is it your glasses with the orange tape? Unique. Good. If a girl's looking for a guy unique, we'll write it down. But some girls don't want unique.
They don't.
What?
They don't want unique.
Nah, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. But you have to have an idea of what you're bringing. So that when a shadchan or shadchanis is sitting down with a girl and saying, what are you looking for? So that he has your card or your resume, he knows. He's like, I got the great guy, the best person for you. So you have to know who you are. You have to know what you like, what you don't like. Obviously, some people don't like notes left under their pillow. Whether there was a heart or not a heart, I guess it's debatable. You'll have to produce the evidence.
I'll get it.
But we have to live an examined life. Examine your life. And you examine your life whether you're 20, 25, 30, 35, every single period of your life, you should think about what you're doing. Don't just live and not contemplate about all the blessings that you have. So that was the point that I wanted to emphasize again. And so he says that it is through knowing who we are, we come to know the Creator. He who made us. Okay? And that's the goal. The whole purpose of this chapter is to point to us what we need to look at in this world in order to have a better connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And we start from ourselves. There are people who are very, very scared of doing introspection, of starting to look at themselves and examining their lives. They're afraid what they're going to find. Well, you're going to have to deal with it at some point. Otherwise, you're never going to fix it. You're never going to improve on yourself. Boy, the mood in the room completely changed. You notice? Everybody's like, Tisha B'Av all of a sudden. Before it was Purim in here. Dan, how am I doing with time, okay? That's his job. Does his job. Don't look at the clock. What? He should do the camera. It's like, that's it. You're done. Okay. So, he says, all of the things that I said that you have to keep in mind is that to get you to be motivated, to recognize that you have to subordinate yourself, to make yourself surrender to Hashem. Why? Because the greatness of the good things that He does and the chasadim, the great chesed that He's done for you, and then you will become more grateful to Hashem. That is, by looking at yourself, the goal is to become more grateful to Hashem. So the whole introspection is supposed to make you feel good about who you are, to strengthen your self-esteem, not to weaken it. Which, what's this?
Yeah, sometimes it works.
Sometimes it works what?
Make self-esteem.
Usually it doesn't.
Well, that's the Havamina.
His Havamina. One of the things that I see from the seat that Hashem has given me is that I sit with a lot of guys over this is my 13th year, so 12 and a half years. I said I've had very deep conversations and talks about all sorts of things. And yes, everyone's got what I call pekalach, different issues they're dealing with. Every single person, even if you think, I don't have any problems, look at me. Yeah, especially you, the moose. But I realize one thing, and that's what every single person has in common. They have a tremendous koach that is hidden in them that they haven't recognized. There are some people who have what I call a loser aura. Like they present themselves as losers. For whatever reason. And there's different reasons why. I'm not a therapist, I'm a psychologist, but just working with this age group for the last, most of my professional life, being 13 years in university and then being here, so 26 years. There are people who take the position of, I don't have anything good, I'm just, a loser. But it's such a shame that they don't recognize the tremendous power that Hashem has put in them. And they tend to sort of swim in this bath of negativity and victimhood and, my parents, my this, all sorts of things. Which I get, people have to process and work, but what Rabbeinu Bachya Pakuda says, listen, this whole purpose of studying who you are, from your physicality to your nefesh, to your intellect, is to discover the great things that Hashem has done for you. Which means that if you're doing the introspection and you end up the other way, that requires fixing. Because there's no such thing that the Kadosh Baruch Hu created a vessel that is absolutely useless. There is a position in our holy texts, especially the deal with Sod, that all the neshamas today are what is called broken vessels. Fine. We see the broken vessels. We see them. We recognize it sometimes in ourselves, but we're still vessels, which means that the Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us the koach, the potential, to contain tremendous gifts from Him. So it might not be what you're thinking, what you're hoping, right? We're not all going to be superstar soccer players, as if that's the goal. We're not all going to be firemen and policemen. Sometimes society imprints on our mind what the image of a successful person is. To me, that's not a success. It could be a successful person. It's not somebody who made a lot of money. That might be, but not necessarily. But you could have a student in Mechina that came here knowing this much, and after 8 months he's over here, and then after a year he's over here. That to me is a success. That he sat in the trenches, which is over here, sitting with a Gemara, with dictionaries, and trying to break his head on what is this word. What is Samech Daled with 2 chupchiks? What is that? What is that? I know. And then once he gets the words, try to make sense from the chicken scratches. You can't give yourself a hoo-ha without... How do you know you got it right? Okay.
Is it good?
Yeah.
What does it mean? I would have thought to say.
To say.
Wait,
Wait a second.
no,
Wait,
no, give me a second.
I'll give you a second. Let's pause the video while the moose figures this out. Yes. People now are watching. Millions of people now. You want to take your shoes off too? Is that going to help you figure this out? What's daitach? Your mind.
You would have thought to say. You might have thought to say.
There we go. Now there's going to be letters. Let's stop picking on the moose. Let him explore himself. Alone in his room. And not, hey! Did you want to say something intelligent? No. Good. Just, no. So, Rabbi Isai, there isn't anything better in this world. There isn't anything better in this world to help you become what Hashem wants you to become and learning Torah. And there's nothing. There isn't anything. And when you get good at learning it, okay, you won't be able to stop. Because it's going to bring you so much happiness and sweetness and the ability to look at things from Hashem's perspective, from an objective perspective, of how to look at moral dilemmas, how to look at social relationships, how to look at stuff in the street. Then you find a bag, what do you do? Hefker, yeah.
See, I told you.
Hefker. You told me wrongly, and you want, yeah, but he's saying it.
This guy's saying
Learn the sugya.
You gotta teach it to me.
No, learn it yourself.
It was a long pause.
What?
That was a long pause. Doesn't matter.
Well, I was choking on the coffee almost. What's wrong with your phone? So what are you doing? What? Am I interrupting? No, I can keep that. It's just my ADD causes me to, like, what's going on over there? I got one too. Should I pull that one and then we can do? So he says, he brings a long quote from the book from Tehillim in 139, verse 14 through 16, where it tells you, it says, the pasuk says, Noraot nifleti niflaim ma'asecha. Wonders.
Surprise, surprise.
Wow. Just wait, the camera. Just don't. Sit over here.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow, what a handsome panim.
Sorry I'm a little late.
You're not late. Wonderful to see you. Beautiful haircut.
Thank you.
Wow. So he's almost recognizable.
I thought we were
Good
gonna
for
do
you.
a fade.
What?
Thought he was gonna get a fade.
A fade? This is good. He looks good. Who did this for him?
Jacob.
Jake, good. We have to give him yeshar koach. So, good. How much did he charge you?
30 shekels. That was worth it.
She charged you 30.
30.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, right.
It's cheap. It's cheap. They said it was cheap.
Mm-hmm.
You look fresh.
30 is
It's
amazing.
$30 for a haircut.
Well, because you go to that charter magnet community school.
Oh my god. Let's not do that, Rabbi.
I was walking yesterday somewhere and that popped into my head and I was like, that better be water.
What else could it be?
With Saxton's room? You never know.
Ask her, Rabbi, to
Good. Baruch Hashem. So the pasuk Noraot nifleti niflei ma'asecha v'nafshi yadata me'od. It is. Where's that big Tanakh? Can I have that? I want to read their English. It's very hard to translate. So pass that forward. Yeah, you're gonna have to walk, sir.
Get on camera, give a smile.
You know, try not to be me, my friend.
Me?
Yeah, me.
Oh.
Try not to be me, not mean. Mean. We said 39. 139. What a wonderful pasuk. Here it is. Okay, here we go. Here. Are we done whispering now? I guess not. I acknowledge you, for I am awesomely, wondrously fashioned. I'm going to read this again. Please pay attention to this pasuk. I acknowledge you, which is to God, for I am awesomely, wondrously fashioned. Wondrous are your works, and my soul knows it well. Okay? And it goes, my frame was not hidden from you, that which I was made in concealment, which I was knit together in the lowest parts of the earth. It's unbelievable what he's saying here. So that from our body, we recognize the chesed that Hashem is doing for us. From looking at ourselves. That's proper introspection. That's proper investigating my life and what my purpose is. This pasuk, you should look it up, spend some time on this pasuk. It's chapter Kuf Lamed Tes, 139, verses 14 and 15 and 16. And it says, the next pasuk, your eyes saw my unshaped form, and in your book all were recorded. Though they will be fashioned through many days, to him they are one. It's amazing that our existence was written in Hashem's book, and it's the whole life is all there. So recognize the great chesed that Hashem is doing for us. And so he says, فَأَوَّلًا مَا يَنْبَغِي لَكَ يَا أَخِي, my brother, it's necessary for you to think about the beginning of the human beings and how you started out. Right? What's your earliest form of existence? What? A fetus? That's the earliest? You say there was an earlier stage?
Well, there's a stage that we talk about in Yom Kippur.
Stage that you talk about in Yom Kippur.
On Yom Kippur.
On Yom Kippur. What are you talking about? What? What do you, I'm not copying what you're trying to say, so can you be more specific, please?
After the class.
What? It's Torah.
Yeah.
So what are you talking about?
There's a tefillah that we say on Yom Kippur that says before we were formed,
Yeah.
and then it talks about what we were before we were formed, and then it talks about
What does it say before we were formed?
where we come from.
Where do you come from?
Putrid drop.
Yes, putrid drop.
Putrid drop. Good.
Yeah, that's the word that I was looking
Sana? Good.
It's a putrid drop. Sperm.
Seed.
I'm a child.
I don't know why you guys are all giggling. We're adults here. What's the...
I didn't giggle.
What? I didn't say you did.
Except all. That would include me, unless I'm not human.
You're not really included in this. You only come 3 days a week.
That's not fair.
Okay, would you like to be included in the all?
Yes.
Fine. From now on, you're all included. No, you live in the Mechina dorms or in the J101 dorm?
J101.
And which means you have a dorm or you have an apartment. So you don't have people busting your room.
I have my own room.
Better
Wait, you
lock
have
the
your
door.
own room?
Yeah.
Luxury living.
Everyone's like, yeah.
You're not making friends, Noam.
This is what causes me to be segregated.
We have to keep them apart from the general population. Welcome to Shawshank.
Oh my god, good movie.
You know, it's one of the things that when I speak to other rabbis, I always say, make sure that you don't create a culture where the students feel they're prisoners and that the rabbis are the prison guards. Once that happens, you're essentially ineffective in helping them grow. Because, they're hiding shanks, they're trying to, dig tunnels. It's like, they have contraband, you gotta toss the rooms, Love letters. Allegedly admitted.
You admitted to writing it, bro.
Okay, say that. So, we start out from putrid drop. And yet, we develop into something that can contain holiness. And not only that, we could spread holiness to this world. That's a tremendous, tremendous gift that the Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us. I've been thinking from a Kadosh Baruch Hu's perspective, what does he need us for? Look how much mess we create for him. The Gemara says that Rashaim, what the problem with Rashaim is that they force the Kadosh Baruch Hu to keep thinking of new ways of punishing them. You add tuma upon tuma upon tuma. But yet the Kadosh Baruch Hu loves every human being. And is waiting for every human being to return to him and to fulfill the role that each and every one of us has to in this world. And that's what you need to discover. Don't wait too long there. But you got to figure this out. Okay. So we start from non-existence to then we start growing and we are on a vegetative state. And then we keep growing and obviously we become a full human being created in the image of God. And in it, he put something, he calls it a spiritual substance. Spiritual substance. And the spiritual substance is we call the neshama. And he says that the spiritual substance is similar to the nature of the angelic beings. And here you are. Don't take that for granted. The fact that we share some things with animals, don't let that determine your behavior. Don't let that determine your goal in life. Our existence is for much nobler purposes. When you see sometimes, sort of secular culture and how they treat themselves, it's always, for me, it's sad. Because they're missing a great opportunity That you think that this is what Hashem made you? That you can, sell yourself for whatever it is? This is your purpose? Zeo? This is it? This is as good as it gets? For X amount of dollars? Chavad. Chavad. Kadosh Baruch Hu created this wonderful world. He wants us, we have to say that, He wants us to enjoy it. It's a mitzvah to enjoy this world so that we can thank Hashem for every enjoyment. There's a Gemara, I think the Gemara is in the Yerushalmi. It's just been a while since I saw that Gemara, but it says that one of the Tanaim would go into the market, he would have money so he could buy every kind of fruit that he saw so he could thank Hashem for that particular fruit. And it says that not enjoying the things that God created in this world is a problem. It's a problem. And that the Gemara is talking about cheese. We have to enjoy this world. But don't make that the end. No, the enjoyment of the world is a means towards an end. And what's the end? To appreciate Hashem, to see the great chesed that Hashem is doing. That look at, He blessed us with taste. That we could eat some food and that it really tastes good. Whatever your favorite food is, I don't care what it is. Right? You enjoy a good piece of lettuce, great. Bakasha. A mushroom steak, okay. What are you going to do? Kasha. A fish. Come on, Rabbi, say lamb, say lamb. Whatever it is. But that's a means towards an end. Right? The whole point of owning Shabbos, of having pleasure on Shabbos, is why? To recognize the chesed of Hashem. That is, our whole focus should be at Kadosh Baruch Hu and the great chesed. And the more you recognize the chesed of Hashem, the more you can see more and more of His chasadim in your life. But if you start focusing on the things that you don't have and blame on Hashem, you don't give me this, you don't give me that, you don't give me this, you don't give me that, then you're only going to see the negative parts. And you're going to wallow in this negativity. I guarantee you, no matter who you marry, that after 5 years, if I ask you, write all the things that are wrong with your wife, boom. Question is, you're going to focus on that? If you will, you're not going to be too happy. Who is that? Rabbi Lubo. Shalom uvracha, Rabbi. Good to have you. There's no interruption. I just wanted to welcome you. Anyway, Dan is signaling to me that I have 3 more minutes. Listen, I don't mess with him. There's some things you have to accept. What? You're negotiating with the timekeeper. He's going to reduce your time here, my friend. It's all about... You ever heard of the expression? It comes from marketing. Perception is reality. Ever heard that? Who's the digital marketing guy? Right? No, Hoodie is, not you.
I can also be.
No, there's only one per program.
Okay, fine, no problem.
You're doing music videos, you told me.
No problem, fine.
Did you not say you're doing a music video?
I'm doing a bunch of, yeah, sure. Can you use music video?
Choreography? Why don't you know what? You want to use that? Why don't you create an interpretive dance to the sugya that you're learning? No, don't blame him. Do it yourself.
But how am I can't do it if he's not going to film it. Then
Don't
I'm just
worry.
dancing on my own.
Just do it here for us.
I know you were very. You were trying to keep it for yourself.
Oh, it just sounds wrong on so many ways. Perception is reality. That is how you perceive yourself, how you perceive others, creates that reality. If you have the perception of seeing everything negative, you see fault everywhere, you are worried about everything, then that's the reality. And I always say, if the perception is that's the reality, let's take it as that perception. And let's fix it so that we could try to change that perception. So, part of what he's talking about, although he's talking about something but I'm borrowing to help us become better people, is that our purpose of looking at ourselves is to bring us to appreciate all the wonderful things Hashem has done for us. We could always focus on the negative. Yeah, I could always say, hey, the guy walked in, 2 minutes before as if he's, Steve Austin. Or I could say, okay, at least he came in. It's better than, no, I didn't come at all. So, make sure that you have something that the Mishnah tells us. Ein Tova. What's Ein Tova? That you look at the world in a positive perspective. Not Ein Ra'ah. Not Ein Lo Tova. Look at the positive. Look at the good things. That's the entire mahalach of our relationship with the Kadosh Baruch Hu. When the Jewish people cried on Tisha B'Av, right, in the time in the desert, Hashem said, oh, you want a reason to cry? I'll give you a reason to cry. Right? What does that mean? He's not punishing them. He says, if that's your perception, that entering Eretz Yisrael is not going to work, this isn't going to be, you're not going to be successful, you're not going to be. You're not going to be. Failure in life doesn't guarantee that you're going to fail the next time. So you failed once. Big deal. You think you're the only one that failed? What's the difference between failure and success? One more try. Somebody who was successful meant that when he failed, he didn't give up. He didn't go cry to mommy. He didn't decide, okay, forget it, I'm done. I'm going to be a hermit. But he said, okay, let's see, what can we do better? What is shtadlus? How can I improve? And keep going. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells the Jewish people, listen, if that's what you want, that's what's going to happen. But if you have Ein Tova, if you recognize all the things that I'm doing for you, all the good, then Hashem says, when you thank me, I'll give you more reasons to thank me. If you complain to me, I will give you more reasons to complain. Because we determine the relationship. If our perception is negative, Hashem says, look, I want to be close to you. And if you only pray to me when things are bad, then I'll continue to give you bad things so that you can keep coming to me. But if you start saying, Hashem, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, he says, okay, that's what you want. I'll give you more things to thank me. Sometimes it's hard to thank HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Sometimes it's difficult because we don't understand why he's doing what he's doing. That's called an isayon, separate shear. But the point is that our perception determines the relationship with Hashem. If you have Ein Tova, if you look at the good things in your life, the blessings that Hashem has in you by looking at yourself, then you start doing exactly what Rabbeinu Bachim Pakuda says. You start thanking and recognizing the great chasadim that Hashem has done for us. And from there, we will continue tomorrow. Oh, no shiur tomorrow, because you guys are on a trip. So I will record a new shiur on Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you.